Hello, and welcome to the Quantum Fit Podcast. I'm Taylor, and I am your host. This podcast is all about applying the different principles of quantum physics and quantum biology to your health and fitness. This gives us a holistic view of how different environmental factors, such as sunlight or cold, play a major role in your overall health. So I won't just be talking about diet or exercise and developing good habits. If you want to really make lasting changes in how you feel, think, and act, then I'd recommend you try to listen closely and have an open mind to what I have to say. Every day I'll be hitting you with a quick 7 to 15 minute long podcast. I keep it short like this because it makes it both informative and to the point so that you don't feel quite so overwhelmed with information. Also, currently I do not do any kind of advertisements. So instead, I ask that you share this podcast with a friend or family member if you enjoyed the message and gained something from it. I want to be able to spread quality and easy to understand content that everyone can take and use in their own daily lives. I would highly appreciate it. On to today's episode, the Magnetico sleeping pad. So today marks the day I finally purchased myself a Magnetico sleep pad. I decided on the core model in the single bed size, just because it's cheaper, but I also get to try out their mid-level power range. I'm going to go over why this sleeping pad is the only one you should be looking at. You know, you can't even begin to compare competitors to its ability to assist your body's natural healing systems. I don't know, I guess before listening to this episode, you may want to go back and re-listen to episode 4 and 5 again, just as a refresher on electromagnetism before continuing. Especially if you've forgotten exactly why it's important for our health. And I'll also have to do a full episode on it at a later time so we can get more specific and I can look at more studies on it. But our 90-minute sleep cycles are based on something called magnetic resonance. Our brain produces its own pulsed magnetic field that will continue to change frequencies as we move through our sleeping stages. So each step up or down in frequency it correlates to frequencies within specific tissues and organs, muscle, whatever. By matching up with those magnetic frequencies, the brain is able to control healing in those tissues. So it's probably pretty complicated for me to, explain just through audio. So as an example, say the liver is really beat up. Once the brain's frequency, electromagnetic pulsing frequency matches up with the liver's frequency, it will stay at that frequency longer than the other frequencies. Again, if the liver was really heavily damaged. So it's pretty interesting stuff. So I will have to dive into it a little bit more at a later date. It certainly changes how you perceive sleep and REM, It's all electromagnetic. It's not biochemical processes necessarily that's going on. It's like purely the brain pulsing out a magnetic field, and by connecting to the magnetic fields of, throughout your body, it's able to just fix them, make them stronger, heal things with that. So, again, that will definitely be in a future episode. Moving on, though, the Earth constantly bathes us in a magnetic field. I'm certain I've talked about it before, where, normally we get a good form of EMF from the sun during the day, and as it drops off at night, we then are affected by these, or more affected anyway, by these magnetic fields. The problem is that these magnetic fields have been waning the past 4,000 years or so and dropped in strength by about 20 to 30%. Excuse me, I missed this here. It's dropped to actually by 70 to 80%. The field strength is 20 to 30% right now. The field strength sits at less than half a Gauss right now, which is the large measurement of magnetic strength. Remember, we need that magnetism at night in order to heal, so having it drop off, combined with increasing EMF at night with technology, creates a perfect storm for horrible sleep and delayed healing. Because the thing is that the magnetic resonance that happens naturally during sleep is actually enhanced by the magnetic field of Earth. So, naturally, the less of that magnetic field we get from Earth, the slower and weaker our magnetic resonance will be. This means you heal slower. You're going to need more sleep, and, you're basically going to be more susceptible to weakness in everything. You're just not going to be able to recover from diseases as well. Working out, you're going to have more fatigue, more damage that comes up. You're just not going to be able to progress and, make as many gains, I guess, as you normally would be able to. So it matters. So to counter this, we can use magnets to mimic Earth's fields. And if you look at all the studies that are out there, they clearly show that there's huge, massive benefits. Even if, it's funny, the mainstream medical community, for the most part, considers magnetic therapy to be pseudoscience. Yes, they believe, for the most part, magnets don't do shit for the body, but the evidence clearly shows the opposite. They just, it's one of those cases of heads in the sand, pretty much, because you can't make a lot of money off it. This thing is, this system, the most advanced is like $3,000, but even the smallest one is, only like $500. And if it can make a big difference in someone's health, you buy it once, you have it for life. So there's definitely a big incentive to not talk about it. But anyway, going off on a tangent here. Well, here's another tangent though, more like a side note that I thought of. Humans could probably withstand far more gruesome injuries thousands of years ago than they can now. The magnetic fields would have been 4 times stronger, and they would have been basically constantly sunbathing naked. I wouldn't even be surprised if humans could perform semi-regeneration just because of how, between the strong magnetic fields and just the fact that we have no hair on our bodies, we're designed to get lots and lots of UV. And again, as I've talked about before, UV powers us, gives us more electrons. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we could heal serious injuries that would, normally kill us today would be no big deal back then. It's kind of interesting to think about too. So hopefully you remember from my early electromagnetism episodes that we heal at night with DC, pure negative electromagnetic fields. Or I guess instead of DC, you could just say a constant electromagnetic field. So that's what we need in a sleep pad. Most sleep pads or magnetic devices do not do this. Instead, most of them will actually end up putting you within a field that is both negative and positive. The issue is that it can heal you really fast and make you feel good for a short time, say a few weeks, maybe a couple months, that's kind of pushing it. But it will deplete you of stem cells in short order. Some devices even use AC fields or pulsating fields, which makes the issue even worse. It's pulsating multiple times a second. This sends an even stronger signal to your body to multiply like mad, which result of that long term is rapid aging. The Magnetico is different for, just a couple simple reasons. They're just magnets that don't need, electricity to run, and they only put you in a negative field. It's also a really, really strong field. A minimum of 5 Gauss up to 20 Gauss. Compare that to Earth's measly half a Gauss now. And even back then, we only had 2 Gauss at most. 20 is massive. I just ordered the 10 Gauss since most people still see like crazy results from it. I don't need the 20 right now. It might even be too much. Sort of as a side note here, that I'm not sure on how much it can affect people with tattoos, but since I have lots and lots of tattoos, the magnetic field, because it is really strong, the tattoo ink is metal. That's what makes up tattoo ink. So it can, and they're the type of metals that react with electromagnetic fields. So, I've read about it before where there's been some people with tattoos who have had issues with, at least initially, there's kind of like a, call it the tattoo flu or something, I don't know, magnetic flu. So it takes a couple weeks and then they get used to it. It's just like extra fatigue, I guess, at first, or maybe some a little bit of rash issues or something, but then their body like adapts and overcomes it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But if you just take a look at their website, or hell, send them an email, they'll shoot you all kinds of testimonials. People have seen a lot of benefit for and even full reversal for things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, ADHD, insomnia, heart issues, multiple sclerosis, autism, endurance, migraines, and blood circulation. There's a whole bunch of other reasons. I've talked about before where it's a quantum issue, So if you fix a quantum problem, or, if you use quantum solutions, you're going to get exponential results. You're going to see results across the board. Your energy levels are going to ramp up all over. So realistically, it should be able to heal like everything if it's powerful enough. Anyways, I'll give you guys a review on it in a few months, see how it goes for me. Either way, I highly, highly recommend you guys check it out for better sleep and better health. Again, if you can find a better magnetic sleep pad, please reach out to me, because this is the best one I can find. It seems to just be king. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have any questions and comments, find me on Instagram at RealQuantumFit, the Quantum Fit Facebook page, or my personal Facebook page, Taylor Kelson, or through a voice message across the Anchor app if you listen to me on there. See ya!